Good morning. The Ranter is back to go into yet another rambling diatribe of the news of the day. And this one I was going to be doing far earlier than this, but life and stuff always gets in the way. So, decide to have at least a small conversation concerning what was going on with the train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, and what became the political fallout for President Biden and his Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg. And kind of throw in my opinion on this. This is not going to be a long one because I only have pretty much one thing to say on this. And pretty much that is Joe Biden should have been there far earlier than Trump. Because here's the thing about this, is that we can go into what Trump said or Trump did at that event when he showed up within this past week to East Palestine, and we can criticize it, and we can. He didn't say anything of note. It was just another one of these glorified photo ops. Toss people his Trump water, say empty platitudes, get on hot mic moments with the mayor of East Palestine or the governor, and have discussions upon where the Trump presidential library should be, and asking the people who are suffering from the potential fallout of having toxicity in their water if everybody's having fun. Yeah, we can do all that. We can have the criticism about that, and there's plenty of it, and it's all legitimate. But the thing is, Trump showed up, and in the terms of optics and perception is reality, that is a big thing when the former president of the United States shows up to something that the current president of the United States, nor his Secretary of Transportation, decides to do themselves. And this criticism continues, for this derailment had happened weeks ago. And between weeks ago to Trump's visit, Biden should have gone there. Now, people criticize upon Biden going over to Ukraine over President's Day. And my take on that is that I don't think it's a mistake for Biden to go to Ukraine, or when he went to Ukraine. My thing is that he should have gone to Ohio before he went to Ukraine. Because whatever you have an opinion on the Ukrainian conflict, plus or minus, if you are for it or against it, the deal though is that in the theater of politics and perception, that makes it appear that he cares more upon what's going on in Ukraine than he does in his own country. Whether that's true or not, that is a point of debate. But the thing is that we shouldn't be having this debate. This should have been a no-brainer. So, for my opinion on the matter, Biden should have gone to Ohio before he went to Ukraine. Flat out, that's it. Now, there has been explanations as to why Biden or the Biden administration, from Buttigieg and the officials, had not gone to Ohio to do this, what is a glorified photo op. They didn't do it because, from their point of view, they wanted to wait until it was all clear, so it was safe enough to go there. So they didn't want to interfere with evacuation protocols, getting people in and out without everything getting tangled up by a presidential visit and all this security and whatnot going to there. Which, when you think about it, think about it, that is legitimate. That is a that is a good call on it. Whether hesitation should last for weeks, I don't know about that. But in terms of that, you have to still, if you're not going to go there, you still should show at the very least that you're on the ball when it comes to this. There shouldn't be this, drama of, well, is the White House not doing anything being bad about it? Why aren't they mentioning it? We can understand that this isn't a cut and dry, simple solution, simple problem here. That there's a lot of intricate nonsense that is going on about who's really to blame for this. If it's the the rail company, or if what's the point of FEMA not showing up immediately on this? What is the delays on that? What was the delays on the other side of the coin? As for the governor of Ohio, declaring a state of state emergency to get federal assistance to come in immediately. What was the red tape going on with that? Who is actually to blame for that? If it is Ohio, or if it is the federal government, or maybe it is Biden somehow, because all that is like this mixed up mishmash of circumstances, and then we got this really almost suicidal political partisanship where it's like we need to score political points at the expense of the people by either not declaring state of national emergency, or applying political pressure and irony to have people either come and show up or not show up because of politics. And that goes both ways. When Pete Buttigieg finally did show up, which he showed up after Trump was there, he was just stoically, anyone asked him a question about it, is that, oh, no, I'm not here about politics, I'm not going to really discuss about politics. That's great when you have it on paper. Oh yeah, that's great, and that makes it seem noble, but that's also bullshit, because this is about politics. This is the politics of perception, of optics. And as I said at the onset, we may criticize what Trump said or Trump did when he showed up and walked around East Palestine, Ohio. He showed up. And President Biden did not. In fact, after Trump showed up, and after Buttigieg finally showed up, the Biden administration says, well, we don't have any plans to go to Ohio just yet. It took that a couple of days from there to now it's Biden's administration going, oh, we'll go there at some point. We'll just have to figure out the logistics of it. Yeah, we'll get there. It's fine. This, for the perception of Joe Biden, who, plus or minus, you like him or dislike him, he at least gives off the aura of him giving a shit about the people. This is hedging. This is not showing that he's caring about the people. And that is a problem. That is especially a problem when you do throw the politics in it, when the politics throws in about how Ohio is considered a red state, and political officials are on camera being supportive of Trump and being critical of Biden. And that so any hesitation of going to there shows a perception of there being an issue of showing up to a state which is a political representative of a political rival of Republican control. That should not matter to a president of the United States. And it also should be one of these glaring contradictions to the last administration, where President Trump, during his tenure, publicly and vocally mused upon, if things happened in blue states, I don't want to help them. We'll help them less compared to red states. I'm paraphrasing, but he did say shit like that. And that is wrong. And what, Biden is supposed to be better because he doesn't say that shit, but he also doesn't show up? Because this is one of these situations where actions speak louder than words. And inaction is as deafening as action. Now, I am being critical on Biden on this. And I feel I have every right to be critical on this, for this. There should have been no reason why Biden should have not stepped foot there before Trump. Now, one of the reasons why it's kind of infuriating that Trump is there at all, that he showed up for this, that he's decided to deign his vaulted attention on this tragic matter, is that, it's kind of ironic that he would show up in East Palestine, Ohio, for this derailment, when, as president, he didn't show up to any other derailments of trains during his presidency, and they did happen. Not one during his time as president. His Secretary of Transportation, Elaine Chao, who now he's all critical and does not so veiled racist bullshit towards her, especially since that she's married to Mitch McConnell. She never showed up to any train derailment. Not one. These matters for them were as, woe and thoughts and prayers. Much like any, gun incident. We'll give you enough time to say thoughts and prayers on the matter, then move on. So it's kind of galling that he shows up here, especially showing up here before Biden or Buttigieg shows up to do the perception of reality thing of showing that he actually cares more than Biden does. That is ironic. And it's also ironic how Trump in 2017 made it kind of public how he was trying to push and take away regulations, Obama-era regulations on the rail system and trains, and now he touted how he was going to destroy and deregulate all this costly regulations in the rail industry. Alright. The only reason why I'm bringing that up is the irony of him showing up, appearing to give a damn when he didn't give a damn beforehand. Because in reality, what happened here in East Palestine with this train has nothing to do with Trump, plus or minus, pro or con. Trump, no policy of Trump's resulted in what happened here. We have to be adult again. We can't blame everything under the sun, neither on Biden, neither on Trump. On the same token, this has nothing to do with Biden either. No policy of Biden's caused this train to derail. So let's not shift some magical blame onto him. As far as we so far understand, this is about the company itself, what's going on with the train, and so forth. I mean, there's so much talk of what was going on with this train before it finally derailed. I mean, I don't know if it's confirmable or not, so take this with a grain of salt, but I had heard that the train was already on fire 20 miles before it even got to Ohio, to East Palestine. And people who are outside of this town but are in the general vicinity of East Palestine they're all concerned and they're all worried for their own town and their own land and their own water for the toxic dumping that happened because of this Trump's derailment. This is a major issue that Biden should have showed up with, and he didn't. I'm not a fan of Biden here. I think I've been pretty clear on my videos is that, if I was going to rank all the choices that I wanted for a president to, or for somebody to at least be there for us to vote to get rid of Donald Trump, and that's the key analogy here for a lot of Americans, for a lot of people who voted for Biden, is that it wasn't really a vote for Biden, it was a vote to get rid of Trump. Again, we got to be honest about that. But in the line of people, including Pete Buttigieg actually, Biden was not my first choice, not my second choice, not my third choice, I don't think my fourth choice. And that is another conversation for another time. I mean, a conversation I would have to reiterate because I've said this multiple times. But it is a matter of the cards we are dealt with are the cards that we have to play. And it's like, shit, okay. But there's that. Like I said, I don't have too much to say about that. I think I've been pretty clear on this. You might like it, you might not like it. I think because of the seriousness, and let's not downplay that every train derailment that could cost lives to the operators, to passengers if there are any, to anyone who's outside of the train that could be affected massively negatively by a train falling off the tracks or having any kind of incident that would cause them to derail, that costs injury or lives. Every derailment should be serious. Everything should be considered serious enough. But with the added caveat of the toxicity that is essentially fallout of when the train derailed, that is making people question the viability of the water around East Palestine, and that water doesn't stay in East Palestine, that goes on elsewhere. I mean, look at Flint, Michigan. If the president doesn't show up for that, then we have to question the president's agenda, what they consider is top priority. And when you balance the scales between that and what's going on in Ukraine, if you look at it from the 10,000 feet vantage point up in the air, that a major European conflict of a Cold War adversary that, despite the Cold War ending, we still consider to be an adversary, trying to invade a sister nation that was once part of their empire in an attempt to pull it back into their fold. Yeah, that is serious, and that should be addressed. And I believe Biden going to Ukraine was a correct move. Still, something this major that happens in the United States should be addressed first. Should be addressed often. If you can't bring yourself into East Palestine immediately, at that point, or any time from the incident forward, within a week or after a week, you still have to address it up to that point. You have to explain why it's dangerous to go there. That's why I'm not there. That's the only reason why I'm not there, is because of the toxicity of nature, and I do not want to interfere with the rescue operations or any evacuation operations by my presence, because It's not as if a president can show up in a Chevy and just drive up. Hi, guys. No. A lot of logistics happen. Secret Service, making sure everything is safe, and it will clog the shit out of any operations that are going on because here comes a motorcade. Again, that is logical, that is understandable. But in the realm of perception, Trump getting there first, that's major. It doesn't matter what he says. It doesn't matter if he was throwing Trump water at people's heads and asking if they're having a good time. He will use that. And in cold, cynical politics, he has every right to use that in future political ads. He will use that showing that he cares more about the people than Biden. He would be able to show that against his rivalry with Ron DeSantis in Florida. Because with their current feud, Trump can go after Ron DeSantis for the last few things that he's done. And it's like, oh, look at that guy. He doesn't give a shit about his own people. He has his own agenda. While me, on the other hand, I'm walking around East Palestine. I'm shaking hands with people. I'm listening to them. I'm feeling their pain, as Bill Clinton once said. With the irony of it, of course, that he didn't bother to do that during his own presidency. Because in the truth of the matter, it didn't matter to him then. And why did it not matter? Because there was no political advantage to go walking around a trail derailment when he was president. But when he wants to be president, oh yeah, let me go there and let me show up the current president who, in his mind, isn't really president because I'm president, because there's election fraud that happened in my own mind and in the mind of my gerbil minions who are trying to be sycophants to me still. This is a clusterfuck for Biden. And I dare say that they can spin this, and again rightly, to saying that Biden cares more about what's going on in Ukraine than what happens in the United States. Previous presidents, regardless of how politics is partisan, though it's not as bad as it was now, obviously, but previous presidents, if there was a natural disaster happening in a state that the majority of the people voted against that president, they still showed up to that state for the national disaster. They showed up and listened to people. They came to represent, because presidents of the United States is supposed to represent everyone. I think Joe Biden understands that, which why it is more infuriating. Because I kind of understand that Trump doesn't understand that. So it's almost like knowing that negligence and knowing that ignorance almost gives him a pass, because we know his ego, we know his behavioral, emotional stuntedness, that he would not understand that if something happens in the most liberal part of California, you're still supposed to show up if something happened in that liberal part of California. Even though they voted against you 5.999 over 6 times. You know what I mean? You still show up because you are president of the United States. And these people are American citizens of the United States, regardless of who they voted for. Alright. I think that's as much as I can do for this. Next time around, we'll talk about more happier things. Like how Marjorie Taylor Greene is skirting the 14th Amendment by advocating for secession. For how George Santos is now going to be in a House ethics investigation, which I'm sure will go somewhere because Republicans are running it. And everything else that's happening in the world today. Or at least everything that's happening in the United States today. Or some things that happen. I don't know. It's like, I don't know. The ranter rants because the urge to rant is always rising. And come on, guys. Biden administration. This was a layup. Trump showed that you can just walk around, do a photo op, throw water at people's heads, ask them to have a good time. And regardless of all the inane nonsense that he was saying, and all the self-involvement, and it was all about him, and look at my crowd size, and all this, and all that bullshit, regardless of everything wrong that he said and everything wrong that he did in East Palestine, Ohio, he was right to go. And he did that, and Biden did not. I'll see y'all later. Oh, there's Gus. He's sleeping.